Hi guys, I hope you're doing well, and this is going to be my first Q&A video, finally. You know, it took me like 4 months to get it out to you. I'm not gonna be bringing up excuses or reasons or anything why it took me so long, but it did, unfortunately. And thank you guys so much for waiting for me, and I apologize for such a long wait. But I haven't actually looked at the comment section before the video. You know, I wanted to kind of read questions as I go. I did glance at them a little bit while I was going through this when I was kind of preparing for this video, and what I noticed is that a lot of people actually want to know my placements, you know, my sun sign, my ascendant. So I think it would probably be fair to start from that. Okay, so I am a Taurus sun, I am a Leo moon, and I am a Pisces rising. Okay, and that is tropical system. Obviously then I would be Aries sun, and I would be Cancer moon, and I would be Aquarius rising. Now I also have in tropical system 3 planets in Gemini. I do have Venus in Gemini, Mercury in Gemini, and Jupiter in Gemini. I have Mars in Cancer as well, and Saturn in Capricorn, because I was born in 1989. Now, since we started talking about astrology, let's just continue talking about it. I do have a message here from Nikita from India. She's asking, my question is regarding the stars matching in marriage, especially in love marriages. Do our stars and fortune impact or change when we get married to the other person, or vice versa? Because in India, people do follow matching of stars and getting married then. I think there are many exceptions in love when it comes to stars, and there should be no limitations. You know, to be honest with you, I agree with you, and thank you so much for your kind words, by the way. I do agree with you, there shouldn't be any limitations. I would say this, I don't think that our stars change when we get married, right? Because we can be married more than once in this lifetime. I mean, of course, there are those, I would say, relationships that are kind of like karmic, you know, predestined and so on. Twin flames, I don't really believe in twin flames. To each their own. I just don't, you know, I do, however, believe in karmic and soulmate type of relationships. But I don't necessarily think that the stars change, you know, if you mean like the stars change themselves when we get married, I don't think that's the case. However, our placements, our personal placements in the chart and our synastry can influence our relationships for sure, absolutely. Even when we look at synastry, which is basically one chart over the other, right? This is us comparing 2 charts and seeing how people interact, seeing how people get along. Of course, we have to look at natal charts of each person as well, not just how they combine in synastry, because we want to see the traits, the personality of each person, you know, and how they act in life separately from this relationship, if that makes sense. So I would say that there are some placements in our chart, possibly, you know, that can influence what kind of person we can marry. And also stars and placements can influence what kind of relationship we're going to have with a specific person if we compare synastry, right? If we look at synastry. But our destiny that's predicted by astrology, I don't think that necessarily changes if we change the path and we marry someone, right? So I don't think it's like that. And also, you know, it's interesting because like when they say that if Saturn is in the 7th house of partnerships, and Saturn is a planet of discipline and restrictions, is that you cannot get married, you know, your life is going to be horrible in a marriage, and you most likely are going to get divorced before you're 30. Well, in a lot of cases, that's true. If you find a person that's Saturnian-like, that is Saturn-like, in their demeanor and their personality, how they live life, you shouldn't have a problem with the divorce just because you marry someone, right, with that specific placement in your natal chart. So basically that's kind of what I'm trying to get at, or what I'm trying to get at here. But thank you so much for your kind words, and I hope that I was a little bit helpful here. Now, next question. I did two quick readings with you on Instago, 2.5 years apart. I looked back on them yesterday and my mind was blown looking back, seeing how accurate you were. Things happen exactly how you predicted. Thank you. My question is, how do you prepare for a reading to get such accuracy? Well, that's definitely a compliment for me, so thank you so much. I understand that you can't really have that 100% accuracy, but it is what it is. I definitely take this as a very big compliment. I would say I do not necessarily prepare. I just really focus on the question. Sometimes I do need to see a person, sometimes I don't need to see a person to be able to do a reading for them. I think it's just experience and the way I read cards. It's not necessarily any system, any way of reading cards that helps me be accurate or something. It's my perspective of cards. You know how they say, well, you should take a class on tarot, you should go to this teacher, you should go to that teacher, you should learn with this system and this system. And while I understand that it's very helpful, especially for beginners, I think that you should be able to have your own meanings for each card. You should practice it in your own life, in life of your friends, life of your family, whoever. You should practice those spreads all the time to be able to get your own meanings. And only then you will be accurate, close to the most accurate, because you're gonna know how these cards play out for you in your hands, right? When you pull those cards. So I would just say it's about practice, really, because I've always mentioned that I'm not a psychic. I honestly think that you should stay away from people that claim to the world that they are these huge psychics. I believe in them, and I've been to some that are really accurate, that really truly have psychic abilities. But just because you're not a psychic, right, does not mean you cannot read tarot. Does not mean that you cannot read tea or coffee or, do astrology or anything like that. It's simple experience, it's practice. I know children that can read tarot, so it has nothing to do with abilities. Don't let people make you think otherwise. No, you have to have psychic abilities to read cards, to do astrology, to do whatever. No, you don't. Now the next question, are you interested in nature spirits, otherwise known as elementals? What do you think of ghosts and aliens from other dimensions? Also, have you heard of spirit molecule? I have never heard of spirit molecule. Actually, I don't really work with elementals as much. I do work with kind of like very, very simple, fire, air, earth, and water. But I don't necessarily call on anybody specific. Aliens, I have seen a UFO in Germany back when I was 10 years old, and trust me, even then, when I was little, I still knew that that's what it was. I believe in that. Yes, for sure, I believe in different dimensions, while I do not necessarily call on them. Whether I'm doing my rituals, my spells, or overall, I don't necessarily work with them, which I want to start eventually. I do. I definitely believe in them. And ghosts, I prefer, I guess, to call them spirits. I used to live in a haunted apartment for over 10 years. I have plenty of stories about that apartment. My mom does, we lived there together. That was back in Russia a long time ago. I definitely believe in them, yeah, for sure. Now the next question from Harsha from India. I wanted to know what spiritual insight led you to pursue career in astrology. Well, since I mentioned my placements earlier, 3 placements in Gemini, if we really start talking about astrology, I need something new, always. When it comes to knowledge, when it comes to work, routine becomes very draining for me, becomes very boring. I always need something new. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I've always been interested in astrology, but I didn't really know that if you dig deeper, there is so much out there. You know what I mean? I kind of had surface knowledge of it. For the longest time, I even thought that the sign of Scorpio was a fire sign. Okay, that was a long time ago, but that's what it was. And I think I just liked how technical it was, because again, like I said, yeah, I believe I am an intuitive person. Am I a psychic though? Probably not. You know, I do not channel in that way like psychics do. You know, I'm not a medium. I do not work with spirits. So no, I wouldn't say that that's what allowed me to pursue it. I liked how technical it was. I liked my Gemini mind kind of liked how the chart was, how you study the chart, you know what I mean? How you compare charts, what happens in the sky, you know, with all the retrogrades and all the major events like eclipses. I like to apply to my life. I like to see how it plays out. I got fascinated by it very quickly when I actually decided to get deep into it. You know what I mean? I got really interested, and my passion hasn't gone away. The only thing is that I do offer it as personal readings, but for some reason every time I upload something astrological on my channel, people just don't want to see it. You know, unfortunately, I feel like on this channel people are very focused on tarot rather than anything else, and I don't feel like I can fully express. I'm holding a laptop and almost dropped it on the floor. You know, I don't feel like I can express fully what I want. Like, I would love to, you know, eventually make horoscopes, just horoscopes, or, you know, make a series on placements in the chart, you know, any kind of aspects in your birth chart. But I feel a lot like, you know, there's something that's holding me back, and in some ways my audience, they don't want to see it, unfortunately, you know, so that's why I stopped introducing astrology to my channel. And how you see love and relationships from your own experience. Also, what is your zodiac sign and how much do these energies resonate with you, with your personality? Well, I think that I definitely resonate with Pisces rising, you know, which is one of my placements, because I am in spiritual career. I also resonate with Mercury and Gemini because, you know, English is not my first language, and it's very obvious when I talk, but I love languages, you know, I like to learn stuff. I'm also, again, I get bored easily with things that I do, so I always feel like I need some kind of fresh energy in my work, you know. Currently, I started learning how to read tea leaves and coffee grounds, because, like, I've always had my cup read back in Russia when, you know, when I was like in high school, in college. I loved those types of divination. But, you know, I never thought that I could do it myself. I always felt like, well, cards, you know, playing cards, tarot cards, you know, that's my top, you know. But no, Again, I want to incorporate more in my practice, and I'm working on that, and that's probably what I'm going to be doing on the maternity leave, and then introducing it to the channel, probably not offering it to clients though, but more like introduce it to the channel as just additional content. But that's what I resonate with the most, my Gemini placements, my Pisces placement. I don't think I resonate with my Leo moon, because Leo moon is very fiery, and while I can get very fiery, you know, I can get very impulsive, let's put it that way, but only if you really like get to me, you know. But I don't really agree with Leo moon having a crown on their head, you know what I mean? And like wanting everybody to love them and praising them and things like that. No, I'm actually a very humble person. And while maybe criticism isn't easy for each person, I actually take it well. And I think I take it well because of my Taurus sun. And I actually skipped a question, how you see love and relationships from your own experience. I've had it tough in my love life, you know. I am finally with the person who genuinely cares for me, you know, and I really care for him, and we are having a baby in March, or I should say probably February, you know, because the due date is on March 1st. And, you know, astrology did help me figure out kind of what kind of partner I really need. Not that I was looking for a partner based on astrology, you know, but we have like the most beautiful aspects in our synastry. But I would say that the road to this relationship that I currently have was very windy, okay? Like, and I mean, I'm 31, you know, I've dated, you know, in my life. So yeah, I would say that I do see it as a beautiful thing, but you really have to have a good person, someone that's very compatible with you, to be able to make it work, I think. I was your 39th thumbs up, yay. I wondered where you get your energy. For you're right on most times in my readings. Well, thank you. I don't know where I get my energy because I'll be honest with you, my work drains me energetically quite a lot. I try to cleanse, you know, with like sage, and you know, I find it difficult to meditate. Unfortunately, I have a very restless mind. Again, maybe it's based on my astrological placements, you know, maybe it's not, I don't know. I have a very restless mind. It's really hard for me to just kind of disconnect. I get my energy because I know I have to. I don't push myself, but I just know I have to. And this is where I get it. There's absolutely, you know, nothing special there. I enjoy watching and listening to your videos. I also follow you on Patreon. Thank you so much. Keep up the great work. Question, have you always been intuitive? I wanna believe so, you know, because even as a child, I was into metaphysics, I was into witchcraft. I was actually into Wicca when I was a kid, or like in my early teens. But I always kind of tried and you know, pressed it down. Like I tried to detach from it all the time. I was I want to say religious for most of my life, you know. I grew up in a Christian Orthodox family, but I would say they're not very Christian to the point where they go to church every Sunday, okay? They're not like that. But I would say that, you know, they do. I would say they are religious, you know, if it came down to that. So I kind of stuck with that, you know, for a long time. And I've always heard that using your intuition in the ways that I do, you know, is a sin. So I was not using it. And I would always just try and use my logic instead. But I'll be honest with you, you know, I feel like I have a pretty good balance of intuition and logic, because I think, honestly, I'm a pretty realistic person. Despite of my career, that is kind of controversial if you really think about it. You know, astrology is controversial. Tarot, divination tools, all of that is controversial, you know, and I went to college to be somebody totally different. But I would say I have a good balance of logic and intuition. And I would say, yes, I've always been intuitive, but I always shut it down. First of all, because of the religion. You know, and I still respect Christianity, don't get me wrong. It's just that I started uncovering other paths for myself. I started, you know, searching for my own way, which, you know, is fine. But there was a lot of it suppressed, for sure. We just want to know more about you and also request you to upload a bit more content because you're a rare, legit person. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Well, too bad, you know, I'm about to go on a maternity leave, so I won't really be uploading like crazy, but I still don't want to abandon the channel or anything. You want to know more about me? I mean, I don't really know what to say. You know, my name is Anna. I am 31, I'm a Taurus sun, I am a tarot reader, an astrologer. I live in the United States. I've been living here for over 10 years. And yeah, that's it. Nothing special over here, really. I want to know more about you, baby. Guess that was before I announced that I'm pregnant and in a relationship. Hey Anna, have you ever done a spell and it's attracted exactly what you wanted and you knew it was because of your spell? Also, do you have any hobbies, interests which you think others would be surprised about? I'm obsessed with vintage toys and it's so far from my dancing hobby. People are usually surprised to find that out. That's awesome. Well, regarding a spell, money spells have worked for me very well. I'll be honest with you though, I am not the type of witch, you know, that practices every single day. I used to, because I had a really long gap between my practice. You know, I was actually into Wicca for a little while when I was in my early teens. Then my mom was like, nope, stop. You know, we're Christian Orthodox, what is this? I stopped. Then I came back to it literally like, I don't even remember, like a couple years later. I'm sorry, a couple years ago. So I've had a gap. You know what I mean? I knew about it, read about it, was interested in it, but I was so brainwashed, you know, and I'm not blaming my mom for it or anything. It's just that, yeah, you know, I grew up in a little bit of a different setting, let's just put it that way. And then when I came back to it again, I was doing a lot of like money spells. I didn't really want to do any love spells or anything like that. And trust me, like hexes, curses, love spells, everything in moderation, personally, I find okay. Because we have different situations in life. So I don't judge anybody that does crazy love spells, you know, or that does hexes or anything, because you don't know why they're doing it. You don't know their situation. So I don't really judge anyone. But for me, the fun ones were money spells. And I would say this, for me, for some reason, I'm the type of person, if I create my own spell from the beginning till the end, of course my camera overheated, so I was saying every time I do my own spread from start to finish without glancing at any tips or anything like that, it doesn't always turn out exactly the way I want it to. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So I found for myself that I actually do my best, just me. Again, everybody has a different experience, you know. I do well with books. And actually, while I was waiting for my camera to cool down a little bit, I got this book, Moon Spells. If you want to ever do a very nice, easy, and pretty powerful spell for prosperity, for money, page 202, prosperity spell, I'm telling you, this one changed my life, okay? Eventually, they do wear out, where you have to repeat them. I would say that it's an amazing spell, it's an amazing book. There's so much in here, and again, just based on me, right, that I work well with book spells rather than my own sometimes, this worked very well for me, so that's just something that I would recommend. And now your second question, do you have any hobbies, interests which you think others would be surprised about? You know, I would say that most people that are in my life right now, they know about, you know, my job and what I do, and they don't actually find it weird. But I think that before I made it my job, this was my hobby. You know, I used to like read playing cards from my friends at parties and get-togethers, and you know, I've always been drawn to metaphysical stuff and you know, magic and things like that. So even though we're on the metaphysical channel, so I can't really say, oh yeah, that's the weird one, you know, but it was probably one of those. But I think you know, you mentioned the vintage toys. I think that this isn't even that weird to me, you know, and my hobbies are probably skiing. I used to be into weightlifting before I got pregnant. I clearly, as you probably can tell by looking at me, I haven't done any diets or weightlifting in the past 9 months. But other than that, I don't really know. Yeah, I don't really know. I would probably say like witchcraft and, you know, metaphysical stuff. But again, it became my job, so I wouldn't say that's even weird anymore. Are you single? No, my partner's name is Sam, And yeah, that's pretty much, I guess, all I can say. I'm from India and I love to watch your readings. Thank you. My question is, what do you think after listening or reading the word India, Bharat? Overall, I do have a lot of clients from India. A lot of clients from India. I do know that I'm loved, I'm respected, and I know that they always listen to my readings. I know that they always appreciate them. And yeah, that's basically it. Have I ever been to India? No. Would I ever go to India? Maybe. But as of right now, I don't even see how the traveling is possible, you know, with everything that's going on in the world. If you can write a blog in your community section, then I would love to read your opinion about astrology and tarot. That's a good idea. You know, while I'm on the maternity leave, most likely I am going to be doing that, probably, you know, because again, I don't want to abandon the channel, and of course I'll still be posting videos, which most likely will be pick a card videos rather than zodiac sign readings, simply because of the convenience, because of the time, you know, everything that's going to change in my life starting February. So blogs would be nice, probably on my website though, rather than community page, because I already have a couple articles on my website, and I'll probably just continue with that. But that's a good idea. Now the next question. Hey Anna, I love your readings and would like to know the following. What is your sun sign, and does it correspond to your personality and inner core? I would say I do have some Taurus, you know, I'm a Taurus sun. I do have some Taurus traits. I think I'm pretty stubborn. I think I love food too much, and I think that I am loyal, you know, and I'm a good listener. I would say I'm a very patient person. Because, you know, I've always been the one, but that's also my Pisces rising, because like I've always been the one that people come to and they pour their problems on you, and you listen and you're patient with them, and you kind of just let them talk to you, you know. I've always been that person, and I feel like every Taurus has that, you know, to some extent. But I would say that the stubbornness would probably be the most accurate. That's a really nice question, by the way. What are some of your most formative experiences, places, and ages? Well, let's start with experiences. I had a pretty rough year in 2017. I basically had, I don't even know what to call it, but I guess I had a stalker, okay? I had a person that stalked me. And that was a pretty traumatizing experience for me, where afterwards I had to go and seek medical help, professional help. That experience brought me to the channel. Why? Because I was seeing, like, nothing was working out in my life then. I remember just, you know, being so miserable in 2017, just not knowing where my life is taking me. I lost my job. My love life was terrible. I had this person harassing me, stalking me. So I got to the point where, you know, when you get to the bottom and the only way is up, I was like, I need some kind of belief again. You know, I've lost all of it. I need it again. I need to believe in something. And while just for me personally, okay, I'm not saying that it's like this for everyone or should be like this for everyone, no, but for me, unfortunately, my Christian beliefs weren't helping as much, okay? So I went back to metaphysics, basically. Believing in more of like a higher power rather than specific religion and things like that, and you know, doing little rituals here and there, and gratitude journals and vision board and things like that. Believe it or not, started seeing those 111 symbols everywhere. You know, 111 was everywhere I went. I was asking universe for signs, and it was giving them to me literally within a day. And 3 months later, my life completely changed. And, you know, maybe one day I'll talk about it, but it was incredible. Yes, I did gain my faith back. I don't want to call it faith, though, because faith would be more of a religious term, but that was my biggest experience from the bottom, when I was so torn in a way, you know, psychologically messed up completely, to new beginnings, and to this job, and you know, to everything that I have now. That was my biggest experience. Not the most pleasant, but it was I would call it my spiritual awakening. Happened in 2017, I would say. Places. I moved to the States in 2010 officially, but I would say kind of moved in 2008 though. So it's been a while, you know, obviously. I would say living in the United States as an immigrant shaped me in many different ways. It's not easy. It's not easy when you're here without family, without anyone, you know, you just kind of, you live and you learn. And, you know, I chose this lifestyle. I chose this place. I chose this way of being. I decided to move right across the world, you know, and I did, and it was tough, but again, it shaped me. I always think that if I stayed in Russia, in my hometown, if I lived the life that I was living, you know, I wouldn't have experience, I wouldn't have strength that I have, mental especially, right? And emotional. I wouldn't be wise. I wouldn't have any of anything that I have now. So I'm glad I moved, and I'm glad that the path was challenging, because this is what has shaped me. And ages, again, 2017, so that was, let's say, almost 4 years ago. We just now entered 2021. Age, I would say this, my Saturn return, by the way, when I turned 29 and a half, was actually a bliss compared to 2017. So back then I was like 27, 28 when craziness was happening, and when I had my spiritual awakening. It happened all before my Saturn return. My Saturn return was smooth because I got to experience challenges before my Saturn return. How did you decide that you're fed up with Russia? For how long do you live in USA? I'm not fed up with Russia. I go and visit all the time. It's just that I went to school to be an interpreter, and I thought that it would be a good idea to move to an English-speaking country. I've always wanted to move to Great Britain, but it was hard. As a Russian citizen, it's really hard to get a visa there, and it's also very expensive, and there was just too many things happening there. It was basically easier to just come to the States. So I did, I liked it, and I ended up moving, like 2 or 3 years later. How long have I been living in the US? Like I said, 10 years, a little bit longer than 10 years. Does reading tarot come to you naturally? I would say yes, because I never had a teacher. I had many different sources. You know, I read a couple books, like I've got meanings from different readers, especially Russian readers. You know, I've got some meanings online and things like that, but I would say I get my meanings from myself, from my own practice. No system, no teaching can do that for you. If you really want to read, and if you really want to read for others, you have to practice every day on yourself, on your friends, on your family. You have to do that to get good at it or better. You know, only your own meanings are what's going to matter at the end of the day. So I would say, as long as you have that, it will come to you very naturally, you know, because you're gonna know how each meaning plays out in your life, or for people that you read for, and so on and so forth. So I would say probably, yeah. What is meant by sun rising and moon rising? Born at 4 p.m. Is it good or bad? It's neither good or bad. You know, this is just when you were born. I would say that, you know, for you, sun would probably be more stronger, right, than in your chart than moon, because if when you're born at night, you know, moon is usually more dominant than sun. But what is meant by sun rising and moon rising, I'm pretty sure that you mean probably sun placement, moon placement, and rising placement. And the rising sign is the ascendant. It's basically the sign that was rising on the horizon, on the eastern horizon at the time you were born. So that's actually considered way more important than sun, moon, or anything like that. You know, you need to know your rising sign to be able to have your accurate birth chart. Okay, so I definitely recommend, always recommend knowing specific time of birth to the minute. You know, that way you can figure out whether or not your chart is correct or calculated correctly. I have read my own cards for decades, but only recently heard about oracle cards. Can you tell me about these and your personal feelings about them? Well, I like oracle cards, but I barely ever buy them. Most of them are gifts from my clients, from my friends. I like them. They are kind of like, you know, a confirmation of something. Let's say you do a tarot reading for yourself and then you pull a couple oracle cards. They can almost like confirm that, yes, you're on the right path. Or, you know, they can be like, you know, reconsider maybe. Or they also give really good advice a lot of times. I'm a Capricorn with Capricorn rising, so I'm a bit overly logical in thought. Yeah, I would say that, you know, it's understandable. You know, everything that we do on here is considered controversial. However, if it guides you, if it helps you, obviously you should not control your life. But if it guides you, if it helps you, if it gives you some sort of advice that you're like, oh, you know, I never thought of that before, why not use it? You know, if it helps you, why not use it? That's kind of my attitude with this, you know, because again, I'm also a very logical person. Despite of what I chose to do for a living, I would say I'm a very logical person. But yeah, I like oracles. They're like a confirmation for me. Do you believe in crystals? Yeah, but I think they're very pretty. I would say this, I believe in black tourmaline. That's the one I really believe in. If you put it under your pillow and you sleep with it, let me know what kind of dreams you're gonna have, okay? The next morning. It's a very powerful stone. It's a witch's stone. It's something that protects you and sends the negativity back to the sender. That's the one I really like. But I mean, generally, yes, I do believe in their power. You know, I do. I also understand that there's a lot of marketing behind it, behind crystals. But I would say that the strongest power I've ever felt was from black tourmaline, and that's the one that will always work. Okay, so yeah. You mentioned in the past that reading tarot helped you deal with some dark things. Any chance you could elaborate? Will we ever see your partner? Okay, so as for the dark things, yes, I went back to metaphysics back when I was being stalked. I really don't like to mention it like that, you know, but stalking is actually a very serious issue, and you know, a lot of people make kind of jokes out of it and everything, but no, it's actually very scary. It messes you up mentally, emotionally, and it stays with you in a form of PTSD later on. So that's what, but it wasn't necessarily reading tarot that got me out of it. It's the spirituality overall that got me out of it. And will we ever see your partner? You know, I would love to show Sam to you guys, and actually this Q&A was supposed to be him asking these questions to me and me cooking something. This pregnancy has been a roller coaster in the physical way for me, my health. I've been hospitalized with a kidney infection. I've had COVID. We've been dealing with a lot of stuff also since we bought this house, and there's just so much going on that we never can find time to just be like, okay, I'm cooking, you're doing this behind the camera, then you can, you know, if you want to be introduced, like we wanted to do that, but it just never happened. That's why I'm sitting here alone doing this. But yeah, he probably will be here one day. Will you ever do lifestyle content? I don't think anybody wants to see it, you know? A lot of my viewers don't even want to see astrological content, even though it's all connected to spirituality, so probably not. We share the same birthday. I'm super loyal to your channel. Thank you so much. That's amazing to hear that you're also May 12th Taurus. Taurus, Taurus and Aquarius viewers are probably like the closest to me on this channel. We want a sneak peek into your daily life, typically the routine of one day in your life. If you could describe or make a vlog, it would be great. We want to know the real Anna behind the camera. Very boring. I used to, okay, now I'm doing a little bit better because I'm in the 3rd trimester and I am exhausted and it's hard for me to even get up in the morning. But throughout the whole pregnancy and before the pregnancy, I would wake up at 4 a.m. 4 a.m., okay? And I would drink my coffee. I cannot live without coffee. And then I would start, you know, going about my work. I used to work on the app called Instant Go. A lot of times I would just go on there first, you know, do all the short readings, and then move on to longer readings or whatever else, you know. That's like my day-to-day life. And I also used to pretty much live in the gym. I even worked there a little bit part-time, just like on Mondays, you know, for a month until COVID hit. But yeah, that's, you know, I don't really do anything special, but I just, you know, I feel like I would love to do some kind of a vlog one day, you know, because I want to show my witchy garden that I'm working on, you know. I do want to show my office eventually when it's completely done and ready. And I don't know how my lifestyle is going to be with a baby, you know, but I would love to show it one day because, yeah, why not share? What would you suggest or advise on how to start your own online YouTube business with tarot? And also, what's your nationality? I am Russian. And as for starting your own channel, tarot channel, you know, I almost feel like right now it's a little bit, I'll be frank, you know, right now it's a little bit more difficult than it used to be. Why? Because there's so many channels right now, guys. You know, I don't watch them. I don't. But when I see them in my feed, I'm like, oh my God, who is this? Who is that? You know, I don't remember seeing them. So it's like, it's so many people now that do tarot. And I believe it's very difficult to kind of get noticed right now. You know, there's a lot of like competition happening. But I would say consistency is the key, and probably readings that are different. You know, the way how my channel kind of got launched was when I started uploading future partner readings. I don't do them anymore. Everybody got used to them. Nobody cares about them anymore. But future partner readings were the readings where I would literally describe to the like letters in the first, last, or middle name your potential future partner, and that brought me subscribers. So something different. You know what I mean? You need to upload something different content that people would want to see, you know, not just maybe monthly forecasts, but maybe something with a twist. And also, from my understanding, like what I've been noticing on YouTube, I believe people care about love readings more than anything, you know, so they probably want to see more of that. You gotta give them what they want, you know. The name of the city in Russia is your hometown. I love your readings. Are you born with this special gift? Well, thank you. I don't know if I would consider it a gift, again, because I believe that anybody can learn how to do these things. It's all about practice. But the name of the town where I was born is Novorossiysk. That's a seaport. We are neighbors with Turkey. What got you into tarot readings and formed your beliefs in the first place? Well, like I said, you know, on and off since childhood, I was into spirituality and metaphysical stuff and like witchcraft and all the different things, you know, not what regular kids are into, I guess. My mom did tell me that I should kind of stop and not play with fire and so on and so forth, you know. But what's funny is that right now she's very supportive of what I do, you know. She sometimes, her and her husband sometimes will ask me for like transits, you know, that are happening in their charts, you know, like astrology wise. But as for what got me into tarot, just life, really, you know. I used to read playing cards for my friends, for myself. Yeah, I honestly, I think when you are in real depression and you have nothing else to do and you really want help, but you can't get it from any other source, you're gonna get spiritual, whether you want it or not, or you're gonna get religious, you know, it depends which one. And unfortunately, for some people that are struggling, you know, that are already spiritual or religious, when bad things happen, they detach from their beliefs. They do the opposite. For me, I didn't really care much at that point in my life. I was too preoccupied with problems, you know, to even acknowledge my beliefs. So once I got back to my beliefs, because life forced me to, that's when I got into tarot kind of like all over again. Even though I was tapping into that, you know, throughout life, I never took it very serious, you know, until just one day was like, okay, you know, let's try this, let's try spirituality, let's see how the quality of my life can change with that. And it absolutely did. And what formed my beliefs? Again, the main trigger was very dark events that were happening with me back in 2017, and I've mentioned it earlier. Okay, so this is a few hours later. Obviously the lighting isn't the best and I'm using my phone and not my camera, but let's continue. Guys, I didn't really think that it would take me this long to answer all the questions, and yeah, I don't really want to make this video too long, but at the same time, I do want to reply to as many comments as possible. So the same exact person that has commented the previous question, they also asked, what is your opinion on our relationship with positive, negative energy, luck in relation to tarot readings? If you mean it by whether or not, you know, we do have negative energy helping us throughout the readings, like to get them to be accurate, or maybe a positive energy, like, you know, maybe angels or some positive beings or something like that. To be honest with you, I've never actually thought of that. I've always known that, you know, yeah, you know, I'm doing this on my own. I'm not calling up on any energy to help me. But if they do come and if they do decide to help me, like I said, I'm very neutral when it comes to positive energy, negative energy. As long as, you know, it doesn't try to harm me, I'm okay with it, you know, so let it help me. If it wants to help, hey, let it help. That's kind of how I look at things. So I'm not sure if that's exactly the same context that you meant when you asked this question. What are your thoughts on the future of your channel? Are you looking to do any other types of videos like astrological readings or videos about the history, background of witchcraft, astrology, etc.? So the thoughts on the future of my channel. Yes, I'm actually switching to pick a card, guys, because I'm about to go on a maternity leave, and to be completely honest with you, recording 12 zodiac sign readings and then splitting them, having 12 more go on Patreon and so on, is going to be time consuming with a newborn. So when I am on my maternity leave, I would rather do pick a card readings, and different kinds, you know, what's coming up next month, and also love readings, and maybe some, you know, different topics that I can discuss. So it doesn't always have to be kind of like forecasty, you know. But I feel like I do want to expand. I want to introduce tea leaf, coffee ground readings to my channel and to my Patreon. Like, I want to do more for sure. And you know, astrological readings, now I have tried. My viewers don't seem to like astrology very much. You know, I don't know if that's gonna continue happening, because that's the reason I stopped, because people here just don't want to see astrological readings, unfortunately, you know. And witchcraft is so, you know, I do post videos about witchcraft periodically on Patreon, but yes, I do want to incorporate that as well as the time goes by. For me, it's very boring when I just have forecasts and nothing else, you know. It drains me energetically. I prefer something else. I prefer some kind of fresh content, you know. That's what I thrive on, something different all the time. So yeah, for sure, it's not going to be how it is right now. That's a good question. What is your opinion on relatives giving you bad luck, negative energy behind your back? well, relatives have a very strong power over you because you are related to them by blood. And that's the thing, you know, it's very difficult to, I want to say, get rid of that energy around them. You have to learn how to cut ties, not just with friends or former partners or anything like that, but also you may have to even perform rituals like that when it comes to your family members. However, it might be more difficult because they are your family, because they are your relatives, and because there is blood connected. You know what I mean? So that can be more challenging to do, but it's possible. And when you cut ties, you don't necessarily just stop communication completely. You cut ties, energetical ties, right? To where they cannot suck out all the positive energy out of you and leave you drained. I would say, you know, it applies to them just like to anybody else. Be careful, you know, and make sure you set those energetical boundaries with the family members. Is there a way to reverse this? Well, again, I think cutting ties would be the best. Cutting energetical ties. How can we stop those negative attacks, or is bad luck just caused by yourself and no one else? I would say no. Bad luck is, we think it's bad luck, but in reality, there are so many people that are jealous of us. There are so many people that actually don't wish us well. You know, there is a reason why a lot of people, when they are successful at something, they don't really talk about it, you know? They don't open up about it right away. They wait it out a little bit and then they talk because they're afraid of that, you know, evil eye or bad luck, that negativity that people can bring to them and ruin their plans, you know, ruin that they worked so hard on. I would say, again, you know, there will always be people that are jealous or angry, or, you know, they just don't like you. There will always be those negative people in your circle, regardless whether it's family or friends or coworkers. But it's, you know, you need to protect yourself. You need to, again, I've mentioned black tourmaline earlier. That's an amazing tool, you know, to carry with you in your pocket, in your purse. That can protect you. And also, you know, maybe I do have a protection jar. It's a video on my channel. You might want to maybe check it out if you haven't done so. You got to protect your energy and set boundaries, you know, because yes, unfortunately, if not them, somebody else will be doing that to you, if that makes sense. You know, there will always be someone causing negativity. I started following you since 2019. Carry on and don't stop uploading videos. You can do pick a card readings. Yes, that's what I'm going to do while I'm on the maternity leave. How you learn tarot readings. What did you study as a student? So how did I learn tarot? I learned it literally from any source I could find. I would like a sponge, I'm telling you. Any source that I can find, other readers. Well, I come from Russia, you know, and we have a lot of good readers there. And I would always listen to them, you know. I would get readings done myself, and I was seeing how they were interpreting cards and things like that. Other people's knowledge, other people's experience, and my own experience. Constantly reading for family, friends, for myself. Now I don't even do that anymore, you know what I mean? But when you learn, you have to practice. That's the only really way to learn, like, or learn to the point where you're confident with it. What did I study as a student? I studied linguistics. I'm supposed to be an interpreter. Is it your hobby or a full-time business? Yes, that is actually a full-time business of mine. What other skills do you have? Well, other skills, I don't even know what other skills I have. I don't know. I know how to do web design, even though maybe you probably can't tell by my channel. But I used to do marketing. I used to do web design here and there. I used to do coding when I was younger, you know, again, all self-taught, didn't go to school for it. So that's probably something else that I can do. How you maintain your beauty routine? Well, right now with pregnancy is a little bit difficult. I think I live in a climate that allows me to maybe look better than I would in the colder climate, if that makes sense. But I don't really do anything special. I try to eat relatively healthy, and I don't really use too many creams or any kind of skincare products, because when I start using them, they actually make my skin way worse. You know, I break out and a lot of things start happening. When I don't use them, I hardly even have wrinkles. So you know, I would say that actually less skincare, better, especially for those that are 30 plus like me. What are your thoughts on Aquarius men? Well, they're very interesting. I think they can be very fascinating. They are, I have never met any like weird Aquarian men, because you know Aquarius tends to be like a freak of the zodiac. I never met like crazy Aquarian men, you know. The ones that I have met, I've had very interesting and very like the kind of experience, you know, that I will always remember. What I always remember about them is they're very intelligent, witty, and they have a really good sense of humor. That's what I always remember about Aquarian man. And again, Aquarius is like one of my favorite signs because most of my friends are Aquarians. In the description, your Instagram is incorrect. Should be Anna111. Yeah, I know, but unfortunately I haven't been using my Instagram much because I simply, I force myself to use social media, guys. I'm not a big social media person. And at first it was all kind of, oh, you know, I'm gonna use Instagram. And then it all died down for me to the point where I would have to push myself to post. So for now, it's kind of up in the air. Not much is happening with it, unfortunately. You know, I hope to pick it up eventually and continue. But for now, I forget sometimes that I have Instagram, which is really bad. Best way to help a fixed sign change their mind. Is it possible? Eventually, yes. Eventually, they do change their mind, but it requires a lot of patience. But I would say yes, considering that I am Leo Moon, fixed sign. I am Taurus Sun, fixed sign. I do change my mind, you know, I do. And I think that they all do, but it just takes them a little while. So please don't be discouraged. We're not that bad. I think I remember from a previous video that you said your grandma initiated you to tarot as a little girl in Russia. Can you tell us a bit more about that? Thank you and love your channel. Thank you so much. I would say that, truthfully, my grandma was a very interesting lady. Unfortunately, she passed away in 2014. She would, I don't know how she did it, guys, because she wasn't scared of anything. She was a Sagittarius, so she was very skeptical of anything spiritual, really, you know? She was hardly even religious. I don't even know. What she would do, she'd be like, okay, let's turn all the lights off. Let's get a little saucer, you know, for like your coffee or tea or whatever. She's like, let's draw an arrow on it. Let's sit at the table. Let's do like a Ouija board. Let's use the saucer as our guiding, whatever that thing is called in the Ouija board. She would do that with me when I was a little girl. We were like calling on spirits and stuff. And while now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh my God, we used to do such creepy things, you know? In Russia, it's like a big thing. It's kind of like a joke, but I don't think it should be a joke. A lot of people, when they don't know who to kind of call on, you know, when they do spirit board, they go for like Pushkin. If a lot of you know, it's a Russian poet. A writer, you know, they go for like Yesenin, which is another Russian poet. And, you know, they go for these like poets, writers, you know, famous people that have passed away centuries ago. Sorry, my cat is near me. So, you know, she would do that and she would be like, you know, it's nothing. Just, you know, this is entertainment. But the saucer was moving under our fingers easily. She claimed it was moving from the warmth of our fingers. Could be, of course, but it was moving, it was answering our questions and things like that. What also my grandma used to do, she would have paper, right? She would misshape it as much as possible, and then she would burn it and see the shadows, the reflection, the shadows on the wall, again in a dark room. And she would be like, you see this figure on the wall? You see the shadow on the wall? You know, that's the future. And I still remember as a little girl, we were doing this fortune telling, right? And my grandpa, he spent most of my life paralyzed. And he could still walk, but barely. You know, his whole right side was paralyzed. And she handed him the paper and the plate and, you know, the lighter. And she's like, do you want to do this? Let's do it with us too. Let's see what comes up in your future. And he did that with us. And what we saw, all three of us, what we saw on the wall was basically the shadow of a person that's laying on the bed. But the mouth of the person, it's kind of like a profile of the person. The mouth is moving, but the body is still. So we understood in that way that most likely he will still be paralyzed. Nothing is going to help him. Nothing is going to improve his health, but he may be talking. Okay. So that's just like one of those fortune telling experiences with my grandma. She taught me how to read playing cards. She didn't necessarily teach me how to read tarot, but she, and my mom also knows how to read. You know, my mom is also very skeptical of that stuff, even though, again, as a young girl, she used to do it as well. And, you know, my grandma taught me all of these little things, you know, and again, she was always skeptical. She did it for fun, but she, I believe, not put that in my head, but she kind of launched that interest in me, you know, when it comes to card readings and so on and so forth. So yeah, that was my experience, and it was very interesting. It was very exciting, considering my grandma lived in, I would call it a village, and we always said that she lived on a gypsy street because all the houses on her street were owned by gypsy people. They were living there. And you know, just when you go there, when you go to visit her, when you see all these houses, when you see all these people, the fortune telling and everything, it's in the air, you know what I mean? And it's very fascinating. And then that's when I also got into like Wicca a little bit later. And yeah, you know, metaphysical stuff has been with me throughout my whole life. And tarot, I was kind of on and off with it until a few years ago. That's when I started getting more serious with it. You know, Lenormand is like a new edition. Lenormand probably a couple of years, something like that. And now I am learning tea leaf and ground coffee readings as well on a cup, and I would love to introduce them to my channel, especially when I'm on the maternity leave and not doing personal readings. And then I have the last question from one of my clients that actually became my friend, and unfortunately it is on my phone and I'm using my phone to record right now, but her question was revolving around basically my hometown compared to the city, or the area where I live in the United States, and how different are they? Well, first of all, I grew up by the water. I grew up in a seaport, and I then moved to Florida, and I've been living in Florida for 10 plus years. So water, those are different. The difference between the two is that my hometown is more of an industrial kind of city, while the town where I live now is more touristy. I did, however, move more into like a residential area when we bought this house. But also, she asked if I've been using any kind of rituals with my pregnancy. And no, since I got pregnant, I actually have not made any like serious rituals or anything like that. Not because I'm superstitious or because I think it affects the pregnancy or anything like that. It's just that there's such little energy that you have when you're pregnant, guys. I'm sure a lot of you know that it's hard for you to spend it on anything else. So I haven't really been practicing any kind of magic or rituals or anything being pregnant, but I am going to start as soon as I have the opportunity. So guys, I hope that this Q&A was helpful. I hope you got to know me a little bit better. Thank you so much for all of your beautiful questions. Thank you so much for caring about me, for wanting to know more about me. I apologize that this video is really long, but yeah, I was really happy to do it. Again, thank you so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.